Imagine, if you will, you are standing in line at the grocery store and someone walks through the door with a shopping cart full of backpacks. The person pushing the cart walks up to seemingly random customers and begins handing out bags. You are given a bag, the person behind you in line gets a bag, and the person in the checkout lane next to you gets a bag too. There is much excitement from those who are given bags as they look inside to find some amazing gifts. Then you all realize that not everyone gets a bag. How are you supposed to respond? Is it right to share your gifts? Do you give the bag back in protest of those who didn't receive them? Will you advocate for everyone to get a bag? Or do you take your bag and use the gifts inside with no remorse? You were in the right place at the right time, and as a result, you deserved that bag, right? The analogy of the invisible knapsack, originally described by Peggy McIntosh, is helpful in illuminating the concept of white privilege. Undoubtedly, there are people who, when they hear the words white privilege, feel a sense of shame, defensiveness, or denial. Those who feel discomfort with that idea may ask, why is it important to better understand white privilege? Because white privilege is one side of a two-sided coin that must be understood comprehensively to fully grasp racism in our society. The backside of that coin, intentional, aggressive acts intended to cause harm or to oppress persons of color, is an enactment of racism that many of us vehemently oppose. We denounce overt acts of violence targeting persons of color. We judge harshly those with hatred in their hearts who seek out people of color to harm, and we denounce practices that intentionally hold back people of color from success. We condemn overt acts of racism. But the system in which we live, our racist system, is organized in a way that offers privilege to some while withholding that privilege from others. While those privileges aren't automatically a catalyst for overt actions of hatred, the system that we live in that benefits us does oppress people of color. By acknowledging and understanding some of our privilege, we can enhance our understanding of racism, and that understanding will hopefully create a catalyst for our role in improving the system. What are some of those privileges that I enjoy, you might be wondering? Consider these. When you and I do well in a challenging situation, we are not called a credit to our race. When you and I turn on the television or read a news story, we will see our race widely represented. When you or I go shopping alone, most of the time, we don't worry that we'll be followed or harassed. When you and I send our children to school, we can be confident that the text they read will illustrate the existence of their race. You and I can be confident that we'll find music of our race represented at a local music store. Foods of our culture are easily accessible at the local grocery store. And we'll find a hairdresser down the street who knows how to cut and style our hair. You and I will never be asked to speak for all the people of our racial group. You and I can be pretty sure that if we request to talk to the person in charge, we will be facing a person of our race. And you and I can worry about and even advocate for addressing racism without being seen as self-serving. These are some of the privileges that McIntosh explores in her essay, White Privilege: Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack. In contemplating and working to understand the system that enables these privileges, the intent isn't to invite shame or guilt. We must see and acknowledge that there is privilege and then ask, what can we do about it? There's not one right answer to that question. In fact, the question and the discourse with colleagues about that question and any productive resulting action is the work. We must continue to ask, how can we improve the system? How will you use your backpack